Okay, so today we're taking a deep dive into Hosea, specifically chapter 8.
Yeah, it's a really intense chapter. Gets right to the point, doesn't it?
It really does. It's all about, well, a broken relationship, a covenant that's been shattered, and the consequences that follow rebellion against God's law.
And it starts with that incredibly vivid image, the trumpet warning, this eagle swooping down on the house.
Exactly, because the covenant is broken, the law's been transgressed, straight away it sets a serious tone.
But then you get this jarring contradiction almost immediately.
Right. They're crying out, "Oh, our God, we acknowledge you."
Yes. Well, at the same time, the text says they've rejected what's good. It's quite the disconnect.
It really is. Lip service versus reality. And the text is specific, isn't it? About how they've rejected the good.
Absolutely. Setting up kings without divine approval, choosing leaders on their own terms,
Kind of going rogue, essentially, acting totally outside the relationship's framework.
and using their own wealth, their silver and gold, to make idols. The text is blunt. It says this is for their destruction.
That idol bit is key, particularly the calf in Samaria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pointed out very clearly, this was made by a craftsman. It is not God, and it's going to be broken into pieces.
You can almost hear the frustration in the prophet's voice asking, how long will they be incapable of purity?
It's palpable. So, okay, they've rejected God, made idols.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next, according to the chapter?
Well, you get that famous farming metaphor, which is just so powerful.
Yes, they sow the wind.
And reap the whirlwind. Plant nothing substantial, get back pure destruction.
And it elaborates, right? The stalk yields nothing, no flower. Even if it did, foreigners would just devour it. Utter futility.
Total futility leading straight to ruin. The consequence. Being swallowed up.
Yeah, becoming like something useless scattered among the nations. It mentions them going off to Assyria like a wild donkey, all alone, vulnerable.
Isolated. And Ephraim, representing Israel, is described as having sold herself to lovers.
Looking for security in alliances outside the covenant. Relying on others, or maybe just themselves.
But that doesn't seem to work out either, does it? They gather, but it's under oppression, wasting away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their religious efforts seem just as misguided.
How so?
Well, it says Ephraim built all these altars, supposedly for sin offerings.
Okay.
But those very altars became places for sinning. The irony is just crushing.
Wow. So the means of atonement become sources of more sin.
Precisely. And God says, I wrote all these laws for them, but they treated them like something foreign.
Like the instructions didn't even apply to them.
Right. And even their sacrifices, the motions they go through, offering meat, eating it to you. God's not pleased.
So no acknowledgement, no real worship happening there.
None that's accepted.
Yeah.
Leads directly to punishment, their wickedness being remembered, and this idea of returning to Egypt.
Back to bondage. Symbolically or perhaps literally, a complete reversal of liberation.
And the chapter ends with this really stark image.
Yeah, Israel forgot its maker, built palaces, Judah fortified cities, focusing on their own strength, their own building.
Relying on tangible things, on human effort.
But the final word, fire. Fire consuming those cities, those fortresses, because they forgot the source.
So stepping back from this deep dive into Hosea 8, the core message is pretty clear, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Breaking the relationship, putting trust in the wrong things, idols, alliances, your own constructions, it leads to devastating consequences.
We saw that rejection of law, the emptiness of the idols like the calf, sowing wind, reaping whirlwind, being scattered.
Punishment, corrupted worship, rejected sacrifices, and ultimately destruction of their self-made security, all because they forgot their maker.
It really pushes you to think, doesn't it? What does this ancient message about actions, priorities, and inevitable consequences mean for us today?
Yeah, what does it mean for you? Consider that difference the chapter highlights, saying we acknowledge God versus truly living in a way that reflects that acknowledgement.
What separates the outward claim from the internal reality? And based on this chapter, what really offers security? What leads to purity?
Definitely something to reflect on.